I thought I'd show you a device made by Behringer called the BCF2000, which I use for audio mixing. It can handle several sets of, well, they're sort of blocks of 8 channels at a go, which you can flip through. So it can do some pretty complex mixes. And I think it's a really good device to have because it gives you a much more tactile way to mix rather than with your mouse or your tablet sliding sliders, which just, to me, just doesn't feel very good. And also you can't really experiment with multiple tracks at the same time, whereas with manual faders you can do exactly that. So the first thing you have to do is set your Behringer to work with Adobe Premiere, and the way to do that is to press the 4th, make sure it's off, connected by the USB cable, press the 4th upper button along the top and hold it while you power on. And what will happen is it'll go into the Mackie mode, which is the one that Premiere understands. So once you've done that, then you have to go into Premiere and you have to go into Edit, Preferences, Control Surface, and this is where you need to add the BCF. So you click on Add, and then you get Mackie, and if you go into Settings here, select Mackie and Edit, you'll see it. Generally it'll select both MIDI input as BCF2000 and output as BCF2000, and so you can go OK. And as you saw there in the actual video, the sliders all went to the positions that the sliders are in the actual program. And again, to just check they're working, if you move them, so if I actually move the faders here, you can see that they move on the BCF, but equally if I move these here as well, these also move the faders on Premiere itself. So it's very responsive. The other thing you've got is you've got the pan control. So again, if you look there at the top, you can see that that pan is being remembered. Equally, if I turn this, you can see the LEDs tracking around the outside of the pan control. So there's a really good link between the BCF and Premiere. And because of this then means that you can mix more than one track at the same time. Okay, so let's just do a very basic mix and see how you can adjust the volume levels afterwards, because that's obviously a concern. So I'm just going to start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the sliders on right, and then we'll see how we go, and then you'll see the automation afterwards. I think I've got 7 or 8, I can't remember. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to start. Okay, so that'll give us a whole lot of events. Now, and the thing that you'll notice is that obviously it all plays back beautifully, and you'll see what happens. That's working. The thing that is interesting is if you expand one of these and have a look, you'll notice that the volume, the clip volume, has not changed. You've got no keyframes, and that's because you're looking at the wrong ones. You want to look at the track. So if you drop down here and go track, volume, all of a sudden there you have it. You can see all your keyframes, which is great, and of course you can adjust them all. The problem will come is if you want to delete some of these keyframes. If you use your standard pointer and block, nothing happens. What you need to do is select the pen and then draw around, and then you can just simply press the delete key and they're gone. And so that's pretty simple. So all in all, I like it because it gives me a much more tactile operation of the volume levels, and also it means I can operate multiple different levels at the same time, and that's a huge plus for me. I also like it because I can sort of watch the mood of the what's going on, particularly in maybe, I don't know, if you've got sort of fairly standard video like a corporate one where there's some action, you're cutting to people and this, that and the other. It's really nice to be able to go along with the visuals and do a live mix with it. Often it sounds less manufactured than otherwise. It's a cheap piece of hardware. I'm not sure how available they are now. Let's have a quick look. There you go, look at that. So you can get that one, which is the BCR. That's a control module with tons of little knobs and whatnot. And that's only 129. Oh, it says no longer available. That's a pain. But if you go on eBay, you could still pick them up. I mean, here you go, 150 quid. Not a lot of money. There's one here starting at £51. Not bad. So cheap as chips, really. But a really nice way. And the other thing is the panning. Remember, you've got all control over the panning, the muting and soloing and stuff like that. So it's a really useful device. There are people who've also mapped them to color grading, but I'm not quite sure how good that is because I don't think the resolution of the sliders is that fantastic. But for volume audio, it's a great device.